Where are they? At least I got somebody this time, even though it didn't land exactly where I fucking aimed. I hit somebody and killed them. Oh my god, 20-player KO streak. Oh, I almost had the hell 20 KO kill streak right there, bro. Is it destroyed? I'm blowing up. I'm shooting this shit. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, my highlight was when I didn't die. Oh, when I sniped. Ah, nice. Yes. It was when I sniped the Scarlet Witch after I blocked her special. I blocked her. All I gotta do is hit the ground. Next I walked off and got my did and got blue. That's annoying. How is this my highlight? I feel like I had gotten cooler shit. That was a fire player kill. Dude, I fucked up the whole team at some point. I'm just bombarding them with that like green Hulk shit, the radiation stuff. Oh my god. Oh yes, this is the best. Oh yeah, I love this fucking play. He was so mad when that kill, he just hunted me down after that. Once he came back, he went straight forward. Fucked them up. I fucked them up. That was really fun. At least I got somebody this time, even though it didn't land exactly where I fucking aimed. I hit somebody and killed them. Oh my god, 20-player KO streak. Oh, I almost had the hell 20 KO kill streak right there, bro.
Is this really the end? Or is it a new beginning? A new reality?
Cooking soul.
Check it out. So many misconceptions. So many evil deceptions. I've come to give direction. For I am the lifesaver. So many misconceptions. So many evil deceptions. I've come to give direction. For I am the lifesaver. Scooby-Doo wise, Scooby-Doo wee. Like a jazz player, I improvise wisely. Free with the style, I flow like the Nile. But remember, don't mistake the smile. Deep-rooted is my rhyming, like ancient African grills. Precise is my timing. But let me get to the essence of what I'm saying here. Too many blood-red streets with bodies laying there. The systematic fanatics are at it again, trying to kill me and all of us.
Very was it naive
But don't bend to
optimism.
the mental strain. Against all odds, we must strive for essential
That was the
gains.
highlight?
Be true to the life
That was
the
the
Lord
highlight for
gave
you?
ya. And that's a message from the lifesaver. The
That was funny as
lifesaver.
shit, dude.
So many misconceptions. So many evil deceptions.
Oh, that's a nice highlight that I got. Fucking them up.
For I am the lifesaver. So many misconceptions. So many evil deceptions. I've come to give direction.
I'm gonna look at both
For
highlights.
I am the lifesaver.
Oh yeah, this is a sick kill.
I'm the
Let's
lifesaver.
fucking it up here. Oh, that was so clean. I had this little time. I thought I missed. I thought I was gonna go through that door or some shit. And I killed the whole play right there. Just fucked that up.
But still a thorn scrapes my heart when I see another life that's been torn apart over nonsense, no law, no order. It's evidence that the money only takes precedence. Cause everybody wants power, while the innocent are born or die during every hour. I scour as I look upon evil, but I muster the strength to spark awareness in my people. And we will learn to respect our neighbors.
Got him.
Another message from
That
the
was sick.
lifesaver.
Jarvis clipped that.
The lifesaver.
Did win. Look at the ranking. They won.
So many misconceptions, so many evil deceptions. I've come to give direction, for I am the lifesaver. So many misconceptions, so many evil deceptions. I've come to give direction, for I am the lifesaver. People talk about the Armageddon, and nowadays everyone you know is
They
packing
could take
lead,
first
son.
right now if
Each
they
day's
went to
another
other
test.
places.
Hey yo, I better do my best, cause a lot's riding on my chest. So when I lead you to the
This
water, you best
movement
know how to swim
become,
across so you can reach the border.
mindless
It's
fucking
international, the
mouthpieces
message
for
with the
hatred,
flavor. So here's some more
and
important
end
words
up
from the
doing
lifesaver.
crazy shit that threatens their life and fucks up their career and safety and everything, even fucking more than it was before.
Lifesaver.
Right? Like doing something that's like raiding the Capitol on behalf of the president. And you can see here where your accessories are. If you click on them, look at where it's locked, right? Right on the bottom, where in yellow, it'll tell you how to get it. What is going on, everybody? Good timing, Gandalf. What's going on? How's it going? I hope you're doing well. Hope Johnny, you're doing well. I hope everybody doing well. Crazy times we live in. Crazy times. Crazy 24 to 48 hours, I would want to say. Today's Saturday, March 1st. Just let me take a look at my phone, double check what day it was. And if you've been keeping up with anything that's happened, some breaking news, you probably have a good idea about what I'm going to be talking about right now, which is the current situation unfolding between the United States and Ukraine in regards to our presidents, right, our leaders. Zelensky came to the Capitol in DC to have a meeting with Trump, and it exploded into quite the argument, and something that gives me, if you're watching, it gives me a really sickening feeling to myself. It kept me up a little bit at night after watching this kind of shit, not gonna lie. Oh, you're right. Thank you. I appreciate you reminding me that I forgot to lower down the music. Is this better? I want to say that if you've been keeping up, if you've been keeping up with the news recently, you probably know I was going to start talking about this, which is essentially the Zelensky-Trump argument that unfolded in the Capitol and Oval Office that exploded pretty quickly and deteriorated pretty fast. This guy big time got us waiting 15 minutes to start cut off. Yeah, man, I've been trying to fix shit, but you know, things are tough when I don't got someone who could help me out with this kind of stuff. So, especially when things are changing all the time when it comes to updates. But yeah, no, seriously, let's get into this, man. I really want to talk about this. This has been bothering me. It kept me up, right? It makes me sick to my stomach every time I think about it. It's watching this really feels like you're watching a toxic argument between like I don't know, two partners where one of them is some, you know, gaslighting manipulator or some shit like that, and the other one is just trying to make the best of a situation that they can, right, without jeopardizing their own personality and meeting them on the same level. It's really disturbing, and the problem is that like it's not just that's unfolding before us, right? It's not just simply two people having an argument, right? It's the most important, if you could arguably one of the most powerful people on the face of the planet, the United States president, having this type of argument with another world leader, which is the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, who is currently engaging in a war with one of our rivals, one of our historical rivals. I guess some could argue they're no longer our rivals, but something that is so important geopolitically that these were the kinds of things that led to world wars, right? This was the type of geopolitical strife and conflict and issues that led to the First and Second World War, or just really brutal and violent wars in Europe, in the Middle East, and in Asia unfolding all at the same time regardless, right? Really, really disturbing shit. And as Zelensky points out in the interview, or not the interview, in the conversation that we're going to watch soon, we're very lucky that we have this big body of water that splits us between Europe and the rest of the world, right? It doesn't mean that the issues and problems that happen over there will never affect us. It just means it'll take a lot longer. And it also means that we're very lucky that we don't have neighbors that are constantly threatening or actually invading our territories, right? We never had to deal with that shit. And if we were bordering Russia, you could bet your sweet pappy that we would have definitely been invaded a million times over by now. Trump is going after all American allies, and this is very true. Every American ally we have, he's going after. And I'm going to go into this again later, but we could assume right now that the reason why this is happening is because he is Putin's lapdog now, right? Putin's got his hands shoved so far up Trump's ass, as well as the rest of the administration, that they'll essentially be handing him over the keys of the kingdom, and we'll definitely be seeing a lot of backpedaling on positions that we've maintained for not just decades, but in some situations even over a century, right? Which is again disturbing. So let's watch this fucking thing. I'm sure some of us haven't seen it. We could also assume, before we watch this, I spoke about this last time I was on stream, Trump tried to pressure Zelensky into accepting some minerals deal where he gives up a lot of his resources. He at first declines because the number requested was insanely high. It was 500 billion, which is like way more than we've even invested into the war to begin with, right? But then eventually agreed to sending some minerals over, as long as there was a safety guarantee, right? However, that deal did not get signed because of what had happened in the Oval Office, right? So let's watch this crazy fiasco unfold.
And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment.
This doesn't make sense, right? I don't know if it's like some childhood naivety or logic about how it's not fair that there's all this hate towards one side. There needs to be peace and love both sides. You can't have but one side this, one side that. But there's a good reason why one side is getting so much more flack. It's just that kind of logic obviously ignores the problems that are being faced. But we could assume that this is not actually Trump's position, that he's only saying this dumb bullshit because he clearly supports Russia.
I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human.
What's crazy too is Zelensky's in the position where he needs to, and he has a lot of grace. This guy is an incredible person at this point, right? He has so much fucking grace when it comes to dealing with the bullshit. And you could tell that, yes, he clearly disagrees with everything that's coming out of Trump's mouth. But being in the position that he's in, he needs to keep the bridge open. He can't burn the bridge. He can't burn the potential support from the United States because of how dire the situation is. This extends beyond their personal feelings for each other, right? This extends beyond any types of like ideas about respect and all that kind of shit, right? We're talking about the lives of millions of people. We're talking about potential future global conflicts that could exceed anything that we've ever seen before, which we definitely don't want to get to that level, right? We're talking about serious issues that go beyond Donald Trump's fucking ego.
Human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough, but you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin. And
So this is the point where the situation gets really crazy. And I want to be clear. The person who starts this whole argument is JD Vance. 100%. He's the guy who introduces the antagonizing, right? Throwing the jabs and all this kind of stuff. And you could argue that he's been prepping for this for quite some time now. He was going all over Europe, as well as having many different press conferences with, other national leaders. He was doing foreign affairs stuff, where a lot of the rhetoric that he was spinning denounced Zelensky and painted this picture where Ukraine is the bad guy here and that Russia isn't doing, that much bad here. Like Russia kind of was forced somehow into this position of invading a country, which I don't, obviously the mental gymnastics you need to pull off to land at that conclusion. You have to be a fucking Olympic gold medalist with fucking gymnastics at that point, because there's no shot that you're arriving to that conclusion without taking some drastic turns and flips and stuff like that. This is like Game of Thrones or House of Cards. But you know what sucks? Is it's not even fucking good. At least House of Cards was interesting. At least it was fucking smart. At least some of the shit that the guy did fucking was kind of like badass, I guess, or not really. It was interesting at the very fucking least. This is retarded. This is absolute retardation. I can't believe they tried him about not wearing a fancy suit. Yeah, bro, like what the fuck, dude? And you never see them talk about Elon Musk. Like, why don't they give a fuck about whether or not Elon Musk has a suit on? This motherfucker is walking around with a trench coat like he's a child pedophile and shit, and he has some gay ass fucking black MAGA hat that he bought at a boardwalk or something. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, why do they care so much about the stupidest shit? They're clearly doing this to not pay attention to the obvious elephant in the room, or the bigger picture, the bigger fucking problem here, right? It's very frustrating, so stupid. It's just what I'm saying, like, I wish it was more like House of Cards, because at least it would be fucking interesting. At least.
Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant.
At least some of it would make sense too. At least some of it would make sense, right? And I would also think, I could imagine that Frank Underwood and House of Cards would at least make sure that the entire country wasn't about to get completely hijacked by another fucking country, right? I think even as evil and fucking corrupt as that character was, I think he was at least smart enough to make sure that he wouldn't fucking destroy everybody in the process, right? Just completely sell out
country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered.
Oh, it's all good, Johnny. I understood what you're saying.
Mattered more than the President of the United States'
actions.
Crazy. What makes America a good country is
It's just crazy. I'm just going right to it. It's just crazy that they don't give a fuck that Elon doesn't wear a suit. That they have to say something about Zelensky, who doesn't even live in the United States. Right? Meanwhile, Musk is walking around like he's an elected official and he hasn't worn a suit not once. He's literally wearing the same outfit every fucking day, actually, which is kind of weird.
That the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
That is craziness that he thinks. All right, so Vance is trying to spin this picture that them talking nice words to Putin and patting him on the head and rubbing his chest hairs, making him feel like a good guy, that's diplomacy, right? Simply giving whatever they ask for and hoping that they would just leave us the fuck alone is Trump's grand deal, right? Into dealing with Putin. Just give him whatever the fuck he wants, accept whatever it is that he says, and love every second of it, right? That's all he cares about. That's his grand negotiating deal that he thinks he could do way better than fucking Biden, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Zelensky asks him a great question, or at least he dives into what diplomacy looks like when it comes with dealing with Russia.
That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him.
Yeah.
He just occupied and took. He killed
This
people.
is something
you know?
that a lot of people tend to forget, right? And when I speak about a lot of people, I'm also more specifically talking about President Trump and I guess JD Vance at this point. They seem to forget that the invasion that Russia has been doing into Ukraine has extended beyond the main invasion that we all know of. It had happened before that, and the invasion into the Donbass. This has been an ongoing situation since President Obama, as Zelensky had so eloquently put it, right? This is why it's so frustrating to see Trump, who not just says that, Zelensky was somehow at fault for this, right? Completely ignoring the fact that Russia is the invader, right? It's very frustrating to see that, but it's also very frustrating to see that while Trump was already president, he allowed this to persist. And now he wants us to talk about, during his second administration, trying to enact diplomacy by swallowing as much of Putin's loads as he fucking can in 20 seconds.
What the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and
2014?
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation.
It's like, oh my god, you could almost hear the rusty gears turning in Trump's head, trying his best to turn whatever this is and deflect any criticism against him and make himself look good. All he could say after everything Zelensky had just said, he's telling him that Russia's been invading us for a long time, like before you even were president the first time and during your first presidency. And he's like, I was a president during 2014. Bro,
The same, that people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversations, my bilateral conversations, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed.
Right there. And this is so important, yet it goes right over his fucking head and hits the back of the wall. He broke all ceasefire agreements that he managed to scrap up, and he also doesn't very much like to sign them in the first place. So, again, during his presidency, as well as two other presidents, have Ukraine been trying to negotiate and deal in diplomacy with Russia, but as every European country would know, and if you ask any European their opinion on this, do you believe Russia will ever keep a deal, their promises, and not invade one of the countries that surrounds, everyone would have a resounding, like, uniform answer about, hell no, fuck Russia, we can't trust that motherfucker for shit. We can't trust them for fucking shit. They've been doing the same thing for hundreds of years. Not even the same president, not even the same leader, but they're keeping in with the same idea, right? Russia, Putin desperately wants to expand it back to its former glory. And Ukraine happens to be part of that fucking plan. Of course, he's going to stop at nothing to get that plan done. He doesn't give a fuck about nice words or any of that bullshit. Trump is retarded for even saying this on camera, but we all know that he doesn't actually believe this, and he just supports Putin hardcore.
And the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What
kind of diplomacy are you
I'm
asking
talking about the
JD
kind of
guys?
diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
He responds frustratingly. He responds with bullshit rhetoric. Bullshit rhetoric. The kind of diplomacy that will end the violence in the country. Well, that's not an answer. That's not an answer. He knows that's not an answer. No one in this room would accept that as a legitimate answer besides Vance, of course, and Trump. Like, you saying nothing there. When we're asking you, how are you going to convince Russia to stop its agenda of invading its nearby countries and trying to obtain this former USSR glory? And you're telling us with the kind of diplomacy that would convince him to stop doing that shit? Bro, what the fuck? Of course, that's not what we're asking. We're asking for the plan. We're not asking for the goal. We're asking for the plan, right? It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. And thank God Zelensky is a greater man than I am. If I was in his position, I would have leaped over this fucking desk and slapped the shit out of JD Vance. I'd probably be sitting in fucking jail right now, right? As a fucking leader of Ukraine. There's no shot that this guy managed to slip out those words and happens to have a pair of balls between his legs. I don't believe
Respect.
it.
I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now,
a pair of balls between his legs and a fucking brain in his fucking skull? It doesn't exist. Cobwebs up there. There's no plan. They're probably making it up on the fly. This is what I'm saying. There's no plan. There is a plan. The plan is to suck Putin's dick as hard as they fucking can. That's the plan. They have completely flipped the script on how the United States is positioned geopolitically, right? We are now on the bad guy's side. Like, if the axis of evil were to spring back up again, we'd be part of the axis. Like, ironically speaking, we have white supremacists, we have racists, we have bigots, we have communist sympathizers, we have everything. We got it all. We hit all the check marks. And now, as a country, this is where we are, and even the president has subscribed to fucking propaganda from our own rivals, like actual propaganda. And now he's trying to talk about respect. Like, dude, they're going to make it seem, they're gaslighting Zelensky now. They're making it seem like he's the one who got so mad and it exploded because of him.
They're going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens.
He's never been there. Right, he's never been there, right? That's a quick answer to he's never been there. So they're trying to also paint, it's clear that Trump and Vance, and I guess whoever else, believes that Ukraine is in the state of like how the Gaza Strip is right now. They believe that like 85 to 90% of the buildings have been decimated and that there's no fucking food or water and any of this shit. They haven't been to Ukraine. Who has been to Ukraine, you may ask? Biden did. And there's a lot of videos and footage of him in Ukraine, not just Biden, but as well as many other people, right? Especially in the city Kiev, right? Where people, despite the fact of, you know, they're hearing bombs exploding sometimes in the distance, or having to like go hide sometimes because of invasions or whatever, they're carrying on their day-to-day lives, right? They still got to go to work. They still got to do chores. They still got to do what they can while everything is fucking unfolding around them, right? It's not in the state in which they think it is. It can very much get to that state if Putin, I guess, chooses to amp up his invasion or maybe gets more support or whatever. Or if Ukraine loses their support, which it seems like Trump has been threatening, especially during this interview. Or this,
you bring
this
people,
exchange.
you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
And this is a lot of like chest beating, right? You could see that the way that Vance and Trump are acting is they're acting as if they're trying to compensate for something, right? It's like the same kind of like aggression some fucking drunk white bald dude with a pickup truck would have if you fucking look at his girlfriend the wrong way or some shit, right? It's the same type of aggression that they would have where they clearly seem like they're overcompensating or overreacting to hide their insecurities and their weaknesses, right? That they so clearly wear on their shoulders, on their sleeves.
During the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel
Right
now,
here.
but you will feel it.
This is
Even
very
you,
important. This is the whole
first of
ocean
all,
thing.
During the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God
don't
So
bless.
this, you hear what he said? He said, I'm gonna play this again because this is very important. This sentence right here in terms of how they're reacting,
You will
right?
feel it in you, but you have nice ocean. and
Everybody
don't
has
feel now.
problems, even you, but you have a nice ocean and you don't feel
But
the
you will
problems
feel
now,
it
but you will
in the
feel it in the
future. God
future,
bless.
right? What he's saying there is, first of all, is true, right? We're very much separated from Europe and the rest of the world by an ocean, so a lot of the events and issues that unfold over there, they happen over there, and if they are the types of things that would eventually affect us, it takes some time, right? It eventually comes over here, or it may never even come over here at all. We don't have to worry about many different types of countries threatening to invade us all the time. We only got two, and we're very much allies with them, right? So, I guess the only real things that could happen to us that could over there that could affect us here, economics, right? Healthcare crises when it comes to plagues and diseases and all that kind of shit, right? We haven't really experienced any type of military invasion or any types of direct threats from a country like that in very much a long time, right? Whether or not the type of problems that could unfold from Russia succeeding, whether or not it takes the form of actual violence or warfare, or the form of an economic disaster, or the form of healthcare crises, or all three, right? Eventually it will come to us. Those problems will arrive on our shores. And this very much would be a situation that would include a military attack or invasion, depending on how successful Russia becomes. And also depending on how much support the United States now lends over to them and their goals, right? We'll see where this goes. I hope it doesn't explode into the worst case scenario where that starts to be the fucking case. However, it very much will be the case that will affect us. Now, why is this sentence important? It's not just important because of that. It's important because the right, in their response to this, are trying to gaslight Zelensky and their supporters that this was a threat. They're spinning this as a threat. They're making it seem like Zelensky threatened the United States and Donald Trump specifically with bad stuff, I guess, in the future, which it clearly isn't a fucking threat. Anyone with any type of level of IQ, anybody over the age of 18 who has been to fucking high school in a normal situation and at least graduated with an above average fucking, not even above average, just regular IQ, could tell they could tell that something like this is not a fucking threat, right? I would hope so. Maybe I have a lot of optimism for this world and people in general, but I feel like the majority of people could tell this is not a threat. Only someone who's sensitive and has a fragile ego and is constantly fishing for a reason to fight with somebody will take something like this and spin it as a threat.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not
you
have
gotta-
war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering
position
See the
to dictate that.
defensiveness?
Remember this.
I'm not
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You see the
We're gonna feel very
defensiveness?
good. We're going to feel very good and very strong.
How are other countries
right now
reacting to this? How do I think this will impact the world and our futures? Well, right now, a lot of Europe, right? The anyone that's not really rivaled with allied with Russia, which is the majority of them, they've come out and they've definitely supported Zelensky. They've put out a lot more push and I guess activism to happen in their own countries to have like more funding to go towards Ukraine and everything like that. I'm pretty sure he went straight to it was the UK and Britain not too long after this, like yesterday or today, just to speak with one of the leaders over there in regards to all this. So I think there's a movement in Europe, I hope so, to try to create a forces, like a types of armed forces or types of like funding, an emergency thing to help pick up the slack for Ukraine if the United States tends to pull out and or support them a lot less, right? And this type of shit is the geopolitical stuff that shaped the events leading up to World War II. So, if Ukraine loses its territory to Russia, right, because Russia currently has invaded certain parts of what used to be Ukraine, and if Ukraine tends to come to a deal where they cede those territories to Russia, Russia won, right? Russia won their invasion. Even if they didn't take all of Ukraine, they still managed to grab some even more land than they'd had before, right? Just like they did in the Donbass, which is not good. And it just goes to show that to Russia that they can keep getting away with this kind of shit, so they'll just keep carrying on until they get what they want, the rest of Ukraine, until they get more support from other world nations like they have with North Korea so far, and maybe eventually with China and everything like that. This is very bad for us, very, very bad for us. We've been very lucky, as well as we have taken for granted the fact that the United States is in such a beautiful position to be like number one in terms of geopolitical stuff, right? Number one on the board, right? We got everything down packed for the most part. Our US citizens are a-okay, right? This security is completely a threat now. So, and it's not just a threat for us, but it's also a threat for other first world nations that have enjoyed similar security, right? Either by allying with us or dealing with the same types of deals throughout the European nations. So this is pretty fucking bad. This is actually really bad. To have this kind of situation unfold in the Oval Office, which I have to state again, we have never seen anything like this before. We have not seen anything like this before. We've never seen a president react this way towards another world leader in the Oval Office on live television, whether or not be in the Oval Office or any part of the White House, or just in general. It could have been anywhere in general. We've never seen the President of the United States react to another world leader that we were technically allied with in such a way where they had to walk out and leave, as well as refuse to participate in any agreed to deals beforehand.
Not in
It's
a very
fucking
good
nuts.
position.
It never happened.
You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the
bad
very
position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I was
You don't have the
saying,
cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
We're not playing cards. We do not have the cards right now. What kind of rhetoric is this, right? Let's put this under a microscope. If you're saying something like you don't have the cards, that means this is a fucking game to you. Or you're thinking of the situation in terms of a game, right? Less serious than what you think it is. It's almost as if he thinks Zelensky's here to do business when he's not here to do business, right? Because of course Trump is stuck thinking of things in that term with every approach, right? Treating it as if there needs to be a deal, as if there needs to be negotiations, as if there needs to be money to be made, as if we should always be constantly acting in terms of there needs to be profit, there needs to be profit, there needs to be fucking profit, right? He's not here for that kind of stuff, right? Geopolitics, our relations with other countries, humanitarian issues, anything you want to call this stuff does not fall within, like, calling it cards. It doesn't make sense, right? Because he sees it this way, it goes to show his mentality and his approach and how to deal with this kind of shit, right? And he feels like he's the big daddy right now because he thinks that he has the cards that Zelensky so desperately wants, because Zelensky needs this military support, right? So he thinks he could be in this like fancy fucking position where he could talk shit and be like, hey, what are you gonna do about it, huh? You fucking need me, so you're just gonna have to bend the knee and suck my dick in order to get this kind of shit. Fucking crazy.
You're gambling with the life.
Welcome, Alice Stark. Hello from Moscow. Russia in any form, Imperial, Soviet, Putin, post-Putin, has existed and will exist and will always have considerable interests. We will have to negotiate to prevent Russia from attacking. Almost nothing had to be done, but Ukraine's foreign policy was conducted as if it were possible to calmly throw stones at the Russian Federation and join. What the fuck kind of bullshit? Get the fuck out of here with that Russian propaganda. You're gonna tell me that it was absolutely necessary for Putin to invade Ukraine and the Donbass, like way before this initial fucking invasion? You're gonna tell me that was absolutely necessary because you think Ukraine was dealing with drug cartels? What kind of bullshit is that? The fuck? Oh yeah, we have to negotiate with Russia because they're invading us. The fuck kind of nonsense is that? If they wanted to negotiate, if Russia was so willing to deal with things peacefully and have that diplomacy and shit like that, why didn't they have those fucking negotiations before invading? Why is it that it was necessary for them to steal fucking territory from the country next to them? This doesn't make any fucking sense. The fuck out! Get the fuck out of here with that nonsense.
Millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country.
He's not threatening. All right, Trump thinks he's lashing back out and sending a threat right back at him, right? He's not threatening just Zelensky. He's not threatening just Ukraine with that. He's threatening the entire fucking world. He's threatening all of the United States. If you have the balls or the audacity to talk about, you're threatening World War III, or this is World War III or some shit like that, you don't care about what will happen to the United States citizens. Like, you don't care what's going to happen to anyone else here. Like at all. That doesn't even cross your fucking mind. But his idea is to nuke the entire board just to get what? Back at Zelensky? For what? Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here with that shit. Hell yeah, brother.
That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said.
It's just nuts. It's just fucking nuts. To say that he's gambling with World War III again, Zelensky, Ukraine was invaded. Ukraine was invaded. It had its borders, right? Putin walked right over the borders and he said this land is now mine, right? That alone, if you're gonna see that and come to some dumb fucking conclusion that just leaving Russia alone would have been the best idea, and that we need to negotiate with Russia because it's unfair how Russia has been treated. What the fuck kind of stupid ass shit is that? How do you get there? Oh, you only get there by drinking the fucking Kool-Aid, my guy. Or you get there by accepting the Russian rubles that 0MB space has been accepting. Right? Because they get paid at those server farms and they spend all their time jumping in onto social media, on liberal spaces, or anywhere for that fucking matter, and try to also pump that shit into, I guess, the mainstream. You humiliated the victim of violence and shaking hands with a bloody dictator who has destroyed his own country and lives of Russian people himself and lives of Ukraine people. Blaming the victim of violence that she doesn't want to forget about the violence and wants her home, freedom, and independence back. Yes, how do you blame the victim? How do you blame the victim? I will never understand how you can get from seeing someone be attacked, seeing someone get their shit stolen from them, right? Seeing someone completely be trampled on and desecrated and destroyed, how you could see that and point the finger at that person for the violence that was enacted upon them. It makes no sense. Whether or not you speak of it as an individual person or as a nation, it never will make any sense. There's no level of mental gymnastics you could jump through to come to that conclusion without sacrificing your morals and your principle and your fucking soul, right? Without accepting that your hands will now be covered in the blood of all the people who had to suffer and die for this ignorance. This, I don't know what to call this. What is it? The team sports? Is that what that shit's called? I don't know what to call this anymore.
Disrespectful to the country, this country, that's
with all
backed
respect to
you
your-
far more than a lot of people said
Where
they
is
should
that?
have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire
today.
meeting,
This
you
was
said thank you.
disturbing.
Today.
You went
And this also tells me that JD Vance himself is the psychological manipulator and abuser to possibly his own partner, or anyone he's ever been with, for that fucking matter. Asking Zelensky, has he ever thanked us? Are you fucking dead ass? Have you ever thanked us once in this meeting? First of all, he's come here to ask for help, not to thank you guys for help. He's asking for help, right? Second of all, there are hundreds, if not thousands, accounts of Zelensky saying thank you to the American people. There's so much. Like, why the fuck? If you need to see that, JD Vance, it's not that fucking hard. It's not that hard to go look for it. It's crazy for you to ask him to say thank you, or you want him to get on his knees and start fucking bowing down to you right now? Is that the type of shit that you want right now? I don't understand that. Excuse me. This gives off abusive boss telling off employee vibes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. How the fuck can you come to this position, JD Vance? How have you not fallen, but how could you just be so disgusting, so fucking blatantly disgusting? It makes me sick. It makes me sick. I was trying to explain to you before I started talking about this, how this affected me, kind of kept me up at night. It really, really bothered me. I walked away and it bothered me for like at least an hour and a half, probably even more so, because I'm thinking of the potential implications of what's to come from everything that's going on here. We here in Russia are suffering from this monster with which Trump is ready to shake a hand with. Yeah, shake a hand with and salute. So how Trump can stop the war and be allied with the peace and world, as he said, if he doesn't really care about the victims of violence in Ukraine and in Russia, and can't stop the real monster, real bloody dictator, real world criminal who's destroying and Ukrainian Russian lives. He can't even be brought to say, for the very least, that that Putin is a dictator. He can't even be brought to do that. He needs them to say that Zelensky's a dictator, but can't even be brought to say that same term to Putin, despite the fact that he's using the same types of, I guess, quote unquote, definitional standards when it comes to applications. Like, I just don't understand that. I have a likely ban invader. Okay, well, yeah, I guess you'll stay out of that. Nobody needs to see that dumbass shit. Delete. How do I ban this motherfucker? I wish I had someone else to do this for me. I had a ban evader trying to do dumb shit and say dumb shit in here. Listen, I do not get how this world, right? Oh, what the fuck is...
to Pennsylvania.
What is that big ass sign on there? Ah! Sorry guys, I have no idea what's going on with this shit. Let me delete that. Oh yeah, I don't need that. I had to ban somebody. Regardless, I am sick to my stomach. I'm sick to my stomach. We have this, Putin is, he has done so much horrible shit to his people, right? As Alice Stark has been saying. We're talking about the killings of journalists who've tried to expose his bullshit in the most fucked up fucking ways, right? We're talking about restricting the Russian lives, like in terms of like TV, right, down to like one fucking channel where everything's just Russian propaganda and needs to be filtered and made sure to be approved, the stamp of approval by Putin, right? There's so much crazy shit, and then on top of that, he's pumping out these lies not just into Russia but also into other countries around the world, like in the United States, for example, where a lot of it found its way in during the first Trump campaigning as well as his first presidency through Facebook and social media and stuff like that, and now it's taken a whole brand new fucking form after this, which has exploded with the AI bots and all that kind of shit, as well as people who straight up are Russian, right? People who like are not even trying to hide the fact that they're probably like a state sponsored person accepting rubles, who are coming out here and spreading the same propaganda themselves almost at this fucking point, which is crazy, right? There was what was it? That movie by the guy who did what was it called? Borat, right? The second Borat. There was a scene where he was hanging out with these two Trump supporters for like 2 months or something like that, and then they go to a Trump rally, right? And at the Trump rally, it seemed like most of the people who were in charge of actually making the event happen, because he spoke to a few of them, they had Russian accents, right? They had Russian accents. Surprisingly so, huh? We're here in Russia. We have no freedom, no human rights. We can be put into the jail because of a desire of peace or being disagreed with the government. And we cannot stop this monster, and Trump is okay with that. Yes, this is 1984 level shits. And I guess Trump is okay with having that in the United States, because a lot of the plans, a lot of the rhetoric and that which he's been pushing out has been mirroring so much of the actions and so much of the behaviors of Putin. He's taking a step-by-step playbook, you guys. We're talking about copy pasta, but he just wants the American veneer on it, right? That's all he really wants on that. And what's nuts is that Trump thinks that he's going to be always in this position where he has the control and he has the thumb on the button when it comes to the United States. He does not have that no more. Let's think about it this way. With Tulsi Gabbard as head of the intelligence directives, right? With Elon Musk, who has his brigade and army of 20-year-old retards who clearly don't have any care in the world about making sure that our sensitive data and information doesn't get breached. And we're talking about guys who go by the name of Big Balls having access to our nuclear codes, right? Meanwhile, Musk himself also seems to be in line with, agreeing with and supporting Putin and Trump's, I guess, goals into supporting Putin as well, right? And now we got Trump, the president of the United States himself, subscribing to their own propaganda and actually support of all this kind of bullshit. How are we as the United States supposed to not feel like we are seriously in desperate threat of a type of takeover that establishes a society very similar to what's going on in dictatorships like Russia? Nuts. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate that. I appreciate you and you being here. I hope you're having a good day despite all this craziness.
And campaign for the opposition in October, offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
He's not speaking loudly. He literally cut him off. By the way, they keep cutting him off throughout this whole debacle. And Trump and Vance act like he's been saying a lot and being super loud. They're just gaslighting him. They're straight up
No,
gaslighting
you've
him.
done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
This guy's yelling at him.
In our
Trump is literally yelling at him at this point, by the way.
country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid president,
They have been alone. Let's reiterate. They've been alone in terms of fighting, right? In terms of who's on the ground shooting and sacrificing their fucking lives. It's the Ukrainian people. At the end of the day, the Ukrainians are the ones who are experiencing the losses, as well as some Russians, and the Russians who definitely don't want to be a part of this shit. Right? At the end of the day, those are the ones who actually experience the loss. What do we experience the loss? The Trump's trying to make it seem like, he's making it seem like we're fucking bleeding our asses off trying to keep this war going on. All we're doing is sending them old fucking equipment we don't even use anymore, as well as some intelligence help. Like, we're just teaching them how to fight, essentially. We don't actually lose much. We're not losing much. Let's be fucking real. And Trump is gonna pretend like, oh, we've given away so fucking much, and this and the third, and that's acting as if we have U.S. troops on the ground that's fucking dying. Like, get the fuck out of here. Yes, they are alone. They are fucking alone in this fight right now. They may not be alone financially speaking and in support, but in terms of who's losing life, whose blood is being spilt, it's theirs.
$350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
We don't want to be a part of this shit. We don't want to be a part. They don't want to be a part of it. They're being forced into this shit. Like, so many people, with so many people who don't want this, are dying. And the saddest fucking part about all this, and this is actually even similar in regards to the Israeli-Hamas war, is that there are people who are on both sides who are culturally identical to each other. They come from the same places. They believe in the same shit. They have the same fucking blood and descendancy. Like, so they're like, they're all from the same region. They're essentially brothers. They're essentially brothers and sisters. Like, they're fighting with each other and they're spilling each other's blood. All because of this nonsense. All because of rich oligarchs. All because of fucking dictators who have just assumed too much fucking power, right? All because of this kind of shit. We have people who, I feel like, normally speaking, beyond all this international fuckery and influence and geopolitical shit, culturally speaking, would get along. They lived with each other for thousands of years before this. They all come from the same fucking place. Like, it's frustrating. It's just so frustrating. Ukraine has so much history, right, in terms of like the region and the Russian people in general, right? It's sad to see it so destroyed, or see any part of anyone's culture being attacked, destroyed, ripped away from them, being turned into something it's not anymore, right? While dividing the people that belong to that set culture and origin.
If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
I just saw your message, by the way, Johnny. Equipment, vehicles, guns, money. What do you mean we have a lot in it? Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. We support them a lot, but we're not spilling our blood. That's what I'm saying. When it comes to them being alone in the fight, the Ukrainians are the ones that are fighting. Ukrainians are the ones that are dying. Ukrainians are the ones that are having their troops being decimated or fighting for their fucking land. They're the ones that have a lot to lose, and they're the ones that are losing a lot. We are giving them our extra shit. We're giving them our extra shit. All we're giving them is like some funding and stuff that we don't ever use anymore. The equipment and vehicles that we've sent over there and guns, a lot of it we actually don't use anymore. It's the same shit that we've done with Israel. We're just sending them stuff that we have had like surplus of and are old.
This is something
Maybe
new
less.
in 2 weeks. Of course he has.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of
Except
times.
that there,
He's already said thank you
except
hundreds
that
of
there are
times.
disagreements.
He's like, just say thank you, as if they're gonna do anything
in 3
different.
days. This is something
Maybe
new
less.
in 2 weeks. Of course he has.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
Again,
I
it's
said
business.
a lot
This is
of
not
times
business.
Except
to American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that
He
you're
has
wrong.
no
But you see, I
wrong.
think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell
This
You're
is
running low on
craziness.
soldiers. Listen,
Don't please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look,
He's not, like, listen, he's not saying he doesn't want a ceasefire. He's obviously cherry picking the words. He's saying that a ceasefire ain't gonna be enough. That they need a security agreement. That they need something beyond that. Because, again, they've had ceasefire agreements before that were signed, not just by him, but by other people who witnessed that. Other people, other international leaders, like the president of France, all of them sat down for that. And again, Putin just didn't give a fuck about it. He just fucking broke that shit. He rolls and starts killing some more people and trying to invade some more
if you could get a
territory.
ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're
I
saying
said-
you don't want a
but I
ceasefire?
said to you,
I want a
Trump's not
ceasefire
leading.
because
Trump's
you get a
not leading.
ceasefire faster than an agreement.
ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
is-
with me.
It
That was
wasn't
with
with you.
a guy named Biden who was not a smart person.
this
That
is
was
Again, he did have control over the earlier issues, right? Again, Trump was president before. He had a whole administration that had occurred during Russia's invasion to the territories. Like, again, Trump forgets. He has no memory or recollection of the most important, crucial details of history.
That was with
your
Obama.
president. It was
Moments
your
needed
president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets.
He's so,
In fact,
he's
the
got that
statement is,
fucking dog-like confusion stare. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, my guy? No, what
Obama
are you
gave sheets
saying at
and
this
Trump
point?
gave javelins. You got to be more thankful.
He's like, I can't.
Because let me
You can't-
tell you,
you
you don't
can't
have
press
the
him on
cards.
that. If I think Zelensky's smart enough to know that if he presses this even more at this point, it's going to be a nuclear fucking meltdown. Like, we're going to see Trump enter a new level of fucking pissed off that we never seen on live television, and that it might not be the smartest decision speaking for him and his people, right? So he had
With
to bite
us-
the bullet. He had to understand that with this grade school level mentality, it's not a lot of breaking through.
You have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make.
He got
Because the
even listen
attitudes
to
have to
the question.
change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you
but
saying?
What
She's
if-
asking what if Russia...
Yo, Trump's been increasingly more rude to the fucking journalists and shit that ask him questions. He needs like a hearing device or whatever. And I understand sometimes the people that talk to him be like having accents and shit, but he'd just be like, "What the fuck did you just say?" Like, damn near.
Russia breaks the ceasefire.
Well, what if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now?
Oh my god, that response is so stupid, bro. What are you talking about? That's... You could see his brain like nearly explode in his cranium trying to come up with a response to that. Because he can't answer that question legitimately.
What if anything?
If
What
Russia
a
breaks
bomb-
their ceasefire, why are you gonna ask what if anything? What the fuck are you talking about? If they break their ceasefire, that means that your diplomacy didn't fucking work. That's the point that they're trying to make.
bomb drops on your head right now.
But they have
Okay?
weapons.
What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They
They
didn't
didn't break
respect
it with
Obama.
Hold on.
They
The ceasefire was between Russia and Ukraine. He broke it with Ukraine. fuck?
Respect me.
But look,
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch
Putin
hunt
doesn't give a
where they
fuck
used
about
him
you, my
in
guy.
Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden,
Oh, my
Joe
God.
Biden scam.
Look at
Hillary
this.
Clinton.
Look at this.
Shifty Adam.
Oh, what more names is he gonna throw into this? What more names? It's just autopilot, right? It's just autopilot for the rhetoric propaganda machine. Like, how many fucking names and random pieces of bullshit that I've been saying for 8 years straight now can I spit out before anyone remembers what the topic of conversation was, so I could avoid speaking about it? Like, what the fuck? As a Russian who was against this horror from the very beginning, I can clearly say that Trump does not care about Russian and Ukrainian people. He doesn't care about anyone, to be honest. Oh, no, he doesn't care about America. He actually doesn't care about America. He only cares about him fucking self and his cronies and other like really rich people so that he surrounds himself with. I don't even think he actually cares about those people. He only cares about himself and his agendas and his goals in terms of like gaining power and escaping accountability. That's all he gives a fuck about. And that's super good for him as an American president and for America. But thinking that he is the wisest man in the chat who wants peace for Ukraine and Russia people more than Ukrainian and Russian people, not the smartest thing to be spraying about. Again, he doesn't care about us. He doesn't care about nobody. He's not in this position. He's not president of the United States because he actually wanted to make this country better. As much as he said that, it's not the case. It's not the case. He's been having this campaign to escape accountability for all the crimes and bullshit that he's done throughout his entire fucking life, while also positioning himself into a place of power where he can continue carry on said corruption and crimes and whatever bullshit that he wants to do with little impunity as possible, all the while being the most popular or talked about person in the entire fucking United States. It doesn't even matter if he's popular, he just wants to be the guy that everyone's talking about. He wants his mouth in the mouths, he wants his name in the mouths of every single person that lives in this country, which is disgusting. And he's surrounding himself with people who want the exact same fucking shit. Elon Musk, most powerful person in this country, he wants the same exact fucking shit. And that's why they're positioning themselves in this position. He's destroying this country bit by bit. He literally is. He's going against every constitutional foundational block that this country has been built upon, and he's kicking it out as fucking hard as he can. And he's replacing it, if he ever does replace anything with anything, because he usually doesn't replace anything with anything, but he does replace it with sycophants. He replaces it with protections for himself. He replaces it with whatever tools that he needs to advance his said goals and gain this said power. Again, like I said before, he's copy pasting what Putin has done and every other dictator, authoritarian, fascist fuckhead.
Adam Schiff, it was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom.
Look at this. Look at how far and how fast we deviated from the initial question of her bringing up the fucking concern that what if Russia breaks its deal with us about a ceasefire. The answer to what if Russia breaks its deal with the ceasefire is a rant about Hunter Biden's laptop and what he did in the bathroom when he was on said laptop.
Out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia.
Zelensky's like, what the fuck are they talking about?
The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush.
By the way, it has been proven time and time again that Russian propaganda and Russian movements into the United States to push certain, I guess, controversial cases or misinformation has been proven time and time again. Particularly, you want to remember during the recent election when there was videos going around of supposed Haitians that had gotten many copies of their IDs and were trying to vote like 400 times for Harris and pull off all these like voter scams and shit like that wasn't happening. Turns out it was Russian propaganda. There was a video going around of a white lady who supposedly was beat up by a bunch of black guys. It was Russian propaganda. Those guys weren't even from America. Like, it was just a whole bunch of bullshit, right? We see that happening time and time again in here, and Trump is actually the kind of person who would fall for it. He would go on to X, he will see this being posted by Musk, who also fell for it. Or maybe he didn't fall for it, he doesn't give a shit. He just pushes this idea, he'll share it, and this will be the new thing that they'd accept as fact. I just seen a video on YouTube where an American blogger was excited about Trump, like, wow, finally a strong American president who cares about Americans only. Yeah, that person's retarded. I'm sorry, that person's got fucking brain worms. Or they are being paid by an organization that supports Trump and they're just grifting. There's a lot of grifters out there. There's way more grifters out there than there are, I think, unintelligent people, because those are the only types of people who are capable of actually filming content and making an account and stuff like that. I feel like if you genuinely subscribe to these ideas, you would be incapable of being able to run a YouTube channel, let alone a fucking 14-second news clip of you talking about how much you like Trump.
Him with Biden. He did, maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened, but he didn't break him with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if he can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy, and I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave, but you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position.
This
but
is
you're
just,
not acting at all thankful.
There's no politics. He's like business. It's just business. Again, this is just in his mind business. He's not good business. He's never been good with business, right? This is bullshit business. This is. Let me strike that. This is not business. This is the stereotype of what people think business looks like. That's what that is. This is what this is. He's trying to follow the stereotype of what he thinks someone who knew how to do business would do business. And he's trying to do business in a situation it's not business. It's not business at all. It's fucking national security. It's fucking war. It's so many other things, right? I'm from the state of Florida in the United States. A fucking Sunshine State, MAGA-land. This is not business. This motherfucker doesn't know business. This is not negotiations.
That's not a nice
This is not
thing.
negotiations. This is threats. This is threats. What he's doing is he's waving a fucking gun around in the room, and he's threatening. He's threatening. He's like, if you don't obey, you will get shot. That's essentially what he's doing. And not even normal business people would do this shit, right?
All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that.
See, this is all that's in his mind. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. I'm hearing this kind of shit. It makes me so sick to my fucking stomach. It really does. Like, really? That's what you're thinking about? Is how great this is gonna appear on television? It's gonna be dramatic? It's gonna be fucking content? This guy's just doing content. He's just meme farming. He's just content. He's clip farming. It's disgusting. This shouldn't be happening, dude. Fucking thousands of people are gonna die. And I'm laughing to fucking avoid from crying and fucking just passing out from sheer frustration. This is disgusting. How does the White House respond to this nonsense? They posted not just on their Twitter or their Threads or Instagram. They posted on every single social media platform and account that they have. And the first thing they bragged about was about how how POTUS put America first to Zelensky, right? They even posted this dumb fucking photo with Trump trying to mean mug the camera about how he's stood his ground, and some statement from Trump after when he was on the lawn about how he stood up for the United States, right? Disgusting. They wasted no time clip farming this and trying to create more and more bullshit content for themselves to use, right? Again, showing that they don't care, showing clear brazen fucking corruption in levels that I've never seen before in live. He also comes out and says, what do you say over here? he threatened to withdraw all support. Actually, he really did do that. Oh, fuck, he actually did do that. Holy shit, I thought I was, oh my god, I was really hoping I didn't actually read that. He did threaten to withdraw all support. Trump immediately threatens to withdraw all support from Zelensky and Ukraine if he doesn't apologize for what happened, and Zelensky did not apologize so far. But he did go on X and thanked the American people for their support in general, right? He did technically thank Trump and Vance only because he's trying to keep that bridge open. He did not sign the mineral deal. He did go to, was it the UK? I think he went to Britain. I forgot where he went to. He had some more, what was it, discussions with other world leaders. Europe in general has shown its support for Zelensky despite what had happened in the Oval Office. The entire world is scared right now. We're all pretty fucking nervous. Shit's hitting the fan. I don't like it. This is giving me really bad vibes moving forward and what's going to happen to us in the future. The United States and Ukraine and Russia and the whole world for that matter. Zelensky hurt his huge ego by refusing to obey. And same thing with Vance. And I guess the entire MAGA party is going to spin this in some light of, oh, he defended the United States, blah, 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 blah. Some bullshit. Some bullshit. It's all ego stuff. You could see Trump's ego was very much sensitive in the first place because he took offense to something that wasn't even a threat. Wasn't even a threat. And again, I want to also say this. I know that Zelensky's not a dictator because if he was a dictator, Trump would be sniffing his ass right now and doing his best to cater to Zelensky at every fucking turn because Trump loves dictators. He fucking loves them. He loves dictators. He loves authoritarian fascism. There's no fucking shot that he would be against that. That's how I know Zelensky's not a dictator. That's a good way of looking at that, right? Some crazy fucking news here, right? This is something that kind of came up for a little bit and died down really fast following what we just covered. I spent most of my time covering so far. The Jeffrey Epstein files, right? Trump had came out during the initial, like, I guess, victory of his new administration, claiming that he was going to release all these files regarding some of the biggest conspiracies that have been floating around the country. Talking about the MLK assassination, JFK assassination, aliens for that fucking matter, as well as the Jeffrey Epstein files. Quick reminder to everybody, right? Because I know how things are, kind of things happen fast, right? Time passes by, we tend to forget. Jeffrey Epstein, right? Craziest sexual pedophile and, you know, child trafficking asshole that ever existed, arguably. He was arrested and killed himself during Trump's first administration. Trump was the president of the United States when this all had happened. Trump's appointed Bill Barr was in control and had access to the Jeffrey Epstein files during this time because of his position in the government, right? He could have 100% already released these files, but he did not. As a matter of fact, he came up with a fucking excuse for why he did not. A bullshit excuse, talking about how he's just trying to, you know, he thinks that there's going to be some people that could get, you know, wrapped up in there. It's really sensitive, and they don't want to, you know, get rid of all this private information and dox anybody, and this and the third. Very weirdly, in one of his interviews, trying to defend the decision not to release it. Disgusting, right? I would say so. So now, with a lot of pressure, they said he was going to do that. And they went through the trouble of even handpicking these MAGA influencers, you know, fucking political commentators, freaking Fox News pundits and shit like that. And they got all these people come to the White House, right, and walk around for a press conference and photos, holding up these Jeffrey Epstein file binders, phase 1, right, official looking shit, as if they held the keys to the kingdom and were about to get a flood of information. So the time came, and they released the files. What did they see? I should have had this pulled up. But I'm gonna show you what they saw. It'll be easy. They saw this. Not metaphorically speaking. Literally speaking. When they clicked on the fucking link, they saw this. This is a meme from like 300 years ago. At least 30 years ago. To rickroll people. To make them think they're about to see something crazy. Open up the link. You see this. I'm gonna let my guy, Penguinzo, Moist Critical, I'm sure all of you have heard of him at some point, talk about the situation for me because he covers it pretty well. I honestly, I can't really say much different than what he covers. And what's crazy to me, and must say this, I never use this guy at all for anything related to talking about politics and commentary. And he doesn't even himself cover this kind of shit that much. But this was crazy enough for him to come out with this.
Yesterday it was today. Now look at us. In the present. Today. And still no Epstein files. They treat these like Bubble Bass treats pickles on a Krabby Patty. Still no pickles, but it turns out he's just hiding them. They have the files, it seems, and instead of releasing it to the American public, they'd rather just give these binders that say Epstein Files Phase 1 to some influencers, so that way they can pose with it like a prized fish, where they're smiling and laughing about it like they're about to go to homecoming, instead of just releasing that information. It's so fucking
disgusting.
weird. They're treating these extremely serious files with child sex traffickers in them as if they had just got like a baseball from their favorite MLB player who threw it into the crowd for them. It's just not being taken seriously. Not only by the people that have the binder, it seems, but by the actual GOP. I was going to mention this yesterday, but I decided to, sit on my swamp ass and just stew. We'll wait to see what they say about it tomorrow, because I thought there was a chance maybe the House Judiciary Twitter account got hacked with this post. Like, surely they'd release a statement today, but no. They're just going to plug their ears and pretend it didn't happen. But I'm sure a lot of you saw yesterday the actual official House Judiciary Twitter account rickrolled the Epstein files. I shit you not. They posted this tweet, and when you click that link, it takes you to a rickroll. The tweet eventually got deleted, but it was up for hours. It wasn't like a brief thing that some random person scooted into the office and did as a joke. This was something that they posted and kept up for a while. This shit is so outrageous, it has my voice cracking. My vocal folds are left in disbelief like they just watched a David Blaine stunt. Except this isn't like a magic trick or an illusion, this is all very real. They are treating the Epstein files like some kind of joke. This is one of the most infamous child sex traffickers in American history. And they're treating it as if it's not serious. What? And now they're just not going to ever address that this happened. They're just going to ignore it. That's craziness. Now, like I said at the beginning, I didn't expect the Epstein files to be released today because it's been very clear that that's just not coming. And I think we're at the point where even if they do ever release the Epstein files, there is no faith left, no trust that they won't be tampered with. Like, heavily redacted. They did release some things yesterday, but it was all old information. It wasn't anything new. There was like a couple of like tiny new tidbits, but not really.
They released nothing. They released nothing. They actually released nothing. And it's not like they don't have access to this. Alright, again, it's not like Trump never had access to this in the first place. He 100% had access to this kind of stuff from the get-go. He could have probably also put a lot more security on Epstein to make sure he didn't just fucking off himself like he did, right? But he didn't. And when he was asked about declassifying the files in the first place, this is his response.
Mr. President, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these. Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole
Why
world.
does he care about that right now?
But
Why does he care about that now, but not with everything else? Thank you for the follow, Alice Stark. You're awesome. I'm so glad to see you here. And thank you for helping me meet my goal of 180 followers. You're fucking awesome. Thank you so much. I hope that despite everything going on in your situation in Russia, that you can find some peace and happiness and love and prosperity in your life, and that, the world gets better for all of us, considering the dark times that we've been involved in.
I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
This is nuts to me. What do you mean you don't know so much about Epstein? Again, So we don't forget, not only was Trump in office when he was arrested, Trump, according to Epstein's own words, was best friends with him for 10 fucking years. 10 whole motherfucking years. He's been on Epstein's flight logs multiple times. There's clear as day, obvious as shit reason why Trump does not want these files released. It's very clear. It's because he's going to be implicated in them. Right? It's very fucking clear that's going to be the case. And what's frustrating, the initial response from MAGA is to, because they need to find somebody to blame for this because they're upset. Don't get me wrong, they're upset. They don't find this funny. A lot of them really give a fuck about Epstein and finding out who was in those files because they believe that the majority of the Democratic Party is going to be in there, right? They believe that we're going to see this crazy Hillary Clinton expose, right? Where all these fucking left liberal, as Alex Jones would call them, psychic pedophile vampires would be finally exposed. Despite the fact that we all know who's really going to be exposed in those files, right? It's probably going to be all these like church-going motherfuckers, supposed Christians who are all like a right-leaning and fucking retards, like Trump supporters and stuff like that. Anybody who had a lot of fucking money, especially the billionaires, we're going to see a lot of that kind of shit going on. And there's a lot of good reason why they would want to have this sealed up and not released to the public for a very fucking long time. So who are they blaming? Who are they pointing the finger at? They can't point the finger at Trump, right? Because he's the God King, can't do no wrong. They can't do that. They're gonna blame the face, the voice, I want to say, of the Trump administration, the cabinets. It is Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, right, press secretary. Because she's the one that they see when they talk about everything that's going on. First person that always gets thrown under the bus. We saw this happen in this first administration. Very first person that got thrown under the bus and was fired from the cabinet was the press secretary, right? So, next person along the line that they would try to point fingers at would be Kash Patel. Because Kash Patel, being the head of the FBI, right, he has access to these files. He should be able to do this. So Pam Bondi is in the current little fight, I guess, with Kash Patel, trying to get this kind of shit pulled out and bring out the actual files that we can expect that if we ever see, right, that ever becomes public, I'm willing to bet that 75% to 90% of those files will be redacted and will be covered up and we won't be able to see shit. He might be in there somewhere. He will 100% be in there, bro. I bet you they got a whole fucking document on that shit. Again, he was president of the United States when Epstein was caught. He had a lot of control over how the whole situation was being handled, about how all the evidence was being handled at the time. You know, magically he offs himself in his cell while Trump was in office. It's just a little too on the nose to be a coincidence.
Like I said, there's going to be so little trust that this hasn't been
best friends with him for 10 years.
Heavily fucking flubered with. I made that word up, but it sounds like it could apply. Like it's a Schmeckeldorfing, it feels like, where the information, it might not even be accurate anymore. Because this has been such an absolute clown show. You can't even trust it. I also just don't even think it's ever going to be released, period. Like this has been something that they just keep teasing over and over again, like Beyond Good and Evil 2, and it just, nothing ever comes. It all just fizzles out.
Yeah.
And then everyone just forgets about it in like 2 days' time. And I'm so tired of that.
I think he says it. They use the files as like a political tool, right? It's like a way to gain points, right? If someone's running for office or some shit like that, they're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna fight to get these files finally exposed to the daylight. You support me and you vote for me, we're gonna make sure these fucking criminals get their just desserts or whatever the fuck. And they get elected, they get put into office. It's almost like they just instantly forget that
the information
even
would be
exist.
released yesterday, and it was going to be huge. Like they hyped the shit out of it. This is going to be the Super Bowl of Jeffrey Epstein files. We finally have the whole kit and caboodle. This is everything, and there's going to be repercussions. People are going to be thrown in jail. People are going to be arrested. Well, that didn't happen yesterday, so they said it's going to be today. It'll be February 28th at 8 a.m. sharp. It's just the fucking pesky FBI director that did a little, shady business over here, and well, we're getting our handle on it. But it's coming 8 a.m. February 28th. Well. Still not here. I didn't expect it to actually be released today, but much like a growth spurt in my 30s, it would have been a nice surprise to finally have them actually release these things.
We're not gonna get this
like
shit in a way that actually exposes anything at all. Let's be fucking real. Does he show the tweet, or did he show it already? The House Judiciary? Yeah, well, the House Judiciary had this fucking posted for fucking hours. Look at this shit. They posted this to X and Truth Social, I think. This tiny URL, Epstein Files v2, it literally brings you to Rick Astley music video. Like, who the fuck? Like, are we even gonna find out who posted that shit? Who signed off on that? Who the fuck signed off on that? Who signed off on it and allowed it to stay up there for so fucking long? What, they really didn't think that this was going to be a blowback in any way, shape, or form? Even the MAGA base cares a lot about this. They've been talking about Epstein this, Epstein that, since it had happened, pointing the fingers at all these people that they believe is going to be, like, in that list, you know? And they've used it to say that, oh, we're going to find, you know, the craziest shit ever. They definitely want this. I think they're really tired of seeing it not happen. I would assume so. But, again, we'll see how many things Trump fucks up before he gets enough pushback. As a matter of fact, we're gonna cover some of the pushbacks. I got some good fucking shit to show you guys. They're gonna be listening to some nuts. I found some clips from right-wing radio hosts getting calls in from Trump supporters, or I guess former ones, with some crazy concerns and maybe even regrets about the decisions. But first, real quickly, the very first time in 10 years, a child has died from measles in the United States. Very first time. In Texas, spoke about a couple days ago, there was the outbreak of measles. It's been occurring in the country, in Texas, in a location that has had a lot of anti-vaccination rhetoric spreading around in there, as well as anti-vaccination policies, with the help of RFK Jr., spearheading most of this, right? And here he is, lying to us about how it's not that bad, right? It's not that bad. You know, everyone that's in the hospital, he lies to us and says that everyone in the hospital there in Texas are just there for quarantine. It's not the case, right? Not the case. It was actually confirmed by a doctor there that that's not the case. It's also, you know, it doesn't make any sense. They don't quarantine people for they don't put them in a hospital just to quarantine people, right? Especially if they've been living in that state. It doesn't make any fucking sense. So for the first time, in a very fucking long time, we're seeing people, kids particularly, dying from preventable, optional diseases. Disgusting. How is it that people expect RFK, the guy who, you know, is clearly against a lot of the most basic healthcare principles that science has pointed out for us, right? How is he going to fix this whole situation while he's lying about how bad the situation is, right? Just trying to cover his ass. Who really are the victims? Who will face the consequences of his actions? It's going to be these children. It's going to be these families that are going to suffer. And anyone else who ends up catching the measles disease and dying from it, right? All because conspiracies, political points, political team sports. I don't know what to point the finger at with this, but it's going to be a disaster. It already is a preventable disaster on top of all that. We are expecting a recession if Trump gets his way with his economic policies, right? The tariffs that he's expected to keep pushing out, as well as the tariffs that he's already pushed out, and many of his other planned decisions are pushing this country to a brink that will be devastating. We already are seeing increased prices in many different things, right? And again, when it comes to healthcare and preventing disease, the avian flu has been really fucking up our livestock, especially when it comes to chickens, and our egg prices have skyrocketed because of that shit. Again, we have people like RFK Jr., as well as many other right-wing MAGA conspiracy theory lunatics with zero background in healthcare, dictating and deciding the path in which this nation will head forward towards when it comes to protecting ourselves from said diseases. It's disgusting. It's very fearful. I'm very fearful for us, right? As well as loved ones and just in general. So let's hear these phone calls that I said, right? Fucking phone calls are nuts. Right, Sean Hannity was going to be the first one. He got a phone call from a federal employee pleading with him for advice to deal with the firings, and as well as pleading for him to push back against the administration or somebody in general to stop all this firing, because they feel like a lot of people that are have been working their entire lives for this government in different positions are being unfairly targeted and having their security ripped away from them out of nowhere, despite not having done anything wrong.
Ryan in Wyoming. Ryan, how are you? Glad you called.
I'm good, sir. How are you today?
I'm good. What's going on?
So let me start with thanking your staff for being so amazing and making sure that you put on a phenomenal radio and TV show every day. We know that all the work they do behind the scenes is really what makes it successful.
Thank you. I have a great team on both sides.
The reason I'm calling is, so I'm a current federal employee. I became a federal employee shortly after I got active duty from the Army. My wife's a federal employee. The federal government, when it comes to civilian employees, is less than 1% of the entire U.S. population, right? So like 2.4 million based off current OPM information. And we had no idea what's going on. And it's frustrating all of us because, like, how do you make life decisions, try to figure out what to do? How do you know to send your kids to college, if you can afford to buy a house, when there's no information coming from the administration, which I support strongly. Like, I'm a strong supporter of this administration. And what
It's sad to hear this, right? Because you can hear that he's, despite the fact that his entire livelihood and the security of not just him, but his whole family is under threat from this administration, that he still supports the administration. This is how deep the brainwashing has gone, right? This is how deep its claws has burrowed its way into the American psyche, especially amongst the MAGA supporter, right? To still be in support of the administration that is destroying your life, or threatening to destroy your life over dumb shit, like whether or not you emailed the Musk directly about everything you've done this fucking week, or just happening to be in the same department as a department that had at some point said something negative against Trump, or not even that, had to investigate Trump for something that he's done.
What their
just doing
efforts
their
are,
job.
but they're not communicating to us to any way of what their overall goal and plan is, other than, you know, you see some politicians like, oh, we're going to cut 60 to 70% of the federal government. Well, okay, that's everybody.
Well, I haven't heard that number, 60 or 70%. Can you be more specific? What do you do for the federal government?
So I don't want to be too specific because some people I work with listen, and I don't want to have. So I work for under the Bureau of Land Management.
Well, if they listen, they're probably going to recognize your voice, but that's okay. Go ahead. You don't have to tell us.
Sean Hannity's so disgusting. He always has been, right? He's gonna try to weasel his way into either mustering up some type of support to make Trump and the administration look good, or by downplaying and belittling the guys calling in his issues.
So I work for the Bureau of Land Management, so for them, me personally, I think my position will probably be okay, but I don't think people realize what everything, you know, when they're like, oh, we want to cut all this stuff. You know, Mr. Musk talks about cutting, you know, $2 trillion. Well, that's beyond what the entire discretionary budget every year is, you know, roughly 1.7, 1.8 for discretionary. You would have to eliminate everything, the entire federal government, to hit that.
He's not.
He understands that. Most people who have a brain understands this, right? I don't understand how he could still support Trump despite knowing this, right? Trump he put into position Musk, right? He handpicked this guy himself and continues to give praises about how good he does his fucking job, right? So this isn't a mistake. This isn't some naive fucking like miscalculation or something like that. For Trump to come to the conclusion that he could save, or Musk at least, or anybody to come to the conclusion that could save this much money, despite knowing that they'd have to destroy and cut everything, and they're going ahead with it, bro, my guy, this is intentional.
They're going to eliminate the entire government. What they're trying to do, and this buyout, I think it ends today at 5 o'clock, opportunity, and there's been 20 or 30,000 people that have accepted it. If
So
they
look at
don't get
Sean
enough
trying to make it seem like it's
people
not
to
that bad.
leave, now let me ask you: are you showing up to work every day? Do you go to the office every day?
Again.
So my position is an in-office position.
Again, trying to make it seem like the caller, or trying to fish for something to make the caller look like they're full of shit, or that they may deserve to be fired.
Like my wife works remotely for the government. But I mean, honestly, I think she's putting in more hours being remote, but she also makes less money because her pay is actually set for where it's supposed to be. So she makes 14 grand less than her counterparts who work in the office. Because if they do it right,
It may be advisable for her to show up in the office, because I know that's a big sticking point with the administration.
This is sad. This is sad. It really is. I can't, again, here's another caller bullying the Sean Hannity, this piece of fucking shit, about, the Gaza situation.
What's going on? How you doing?
Zelensky.
So, I
This is
cannot agree with you.
I think this is before, the whole fight that they had.
On the Gaza situation, I cannot. At least.
I'm sorry. Gaza is separate from Zelensky. I've smoked a lot. I'm talking about Gaza specifically, and with Netanyahu and Israel fucking Palestine.
As far as
sorry.
making those people leave their land and not being able to return, that's just totally wrong.
First of all, right now, have you seen pictures out of Gaza? I've been to Israel many times.
This is disgusting. So this is a reference to when Trump was saying that Gaza, everyone that lives there needs to fucking leave, and that they plan on rebuilding Gaza from the ground up. This is when Trump shared an AI video on his X account showing, what Gaza could look like in the future if Trump gets his way with the administration, right?
And the place is pretty much decimated. It's rubble, and it's a safe haven for Hamas terrorists that were voted in by the Palestinian people.
So this is retarded logic, first of all, right? You talk about the strip that's messed up, yes. But what, you want millions of people to up and leave their homeland because the Gaza Strip is messed up? As if they can't rebuild the whole place? They're just asking for them to stop fucking bombing and killing them all. But it's just...
So the plan is to go in,
the plan is to
demilitarize
replace them with somebody else, and then rebuild the... Because they still want the land, right? Trump still wants the land. They still want to rebuild Gaza where it stands. They just don't want the Gazan people there.
Authorize it, clean
So what the
up
fuck is
all
the
the
point,
rubble,
Sean Hannity,
and
of
begin
mentioning
a
the fact that
very,
it's
very
bombed and it's
lengthy,
in pieces?
difficult
What's the point of
process. This
mentioning
will
that?
not be American money, that I can assure you. Rebuilding Gaza,
Look, you're
creating
saying it right
jobs, building innovation, and keeping,
Why do you want to rebuild Gaza without the Palestinian people there?
preventing this from ever becoming a launching pad against Israel ever again?
Oh, because you don't want...
That's the purpose.
Oh, that last part there is... They want to get rid of the Palestinian people because they're afraid that they're going to attack Israel again. Okay.
Of it, and I don't really... If America's
When I
not
said
involved...
they want to get rid of Gaza, got the Palestinian people. It's all about Trump administration.
Than organizing it. I mean, you heard King Abdullah this week in the Oval Office with the president. Jordan and Egypt have not wanted the Palestinian population because they're so radicalized. But I mean, he was open to the innovative ideas.
But that's not innovative. That's racist. If you go back to 1995, Robert Mugabe.
What's racist about cleaning up the
rubble
rubble and rebuilding, a city that's livable, that also removes any threat of terrorism? What's racist?
Again, he's a piece of shit and he's slimy. He's trying to make it seem like they're arguing on whether or not it's okay to rebuild Gaza. That's not the concern here. The concern is telling the Palestinian people that they need to fucking leave and that they can't come back. That's the real problem here. But apparently Sean Hannity, having no brain cells whatsoever, can't understand that. Maybe he does, and he's just being a piece of shit.
He's just about that.
Because the president said those people cannot return. They're going to send them to Egypt or wherever. Look, that reminds me of 1995. You know what happened in 1995 in Zimbabwe? Robert Mugabe confiscated all the white farms and gave it to the blacks and gave it to.
So you want the Palestinian people to live among the rubble and never clean up the mess? Because that's what the alternative is.
That's not the alternative.
No, that's not that. But that's not what he said. He said that for them to leave and not return. That's what you're saying. You're saying for them to.
Okay, so what's your solution? Tell me, what's your solution?
The same solution that's been spouted out for the two-state solution. Fund them, allow them to fucking rebuild their shit. The fuck you talking about, Sean? Why do you think that the only solution is for Trump to send fucking people over there and kick all the Palestinians out and turn it into MAGA land on the Gaza Strip? It doesn't make any sense. The fuck are you talking about? So, again, another former Trump supporter calling in, or I guess current Trump supporter. It's kind of nuts that they still do support them, but they have clear issues and frustrations with what Trump has been doing. So here is another caller calling Kilmeade. It's not Hannity this time, it's Kilmeade, about Trump trying to bribe people with Doge dividends and talking about he's going to send a $5,000 check to everybody, which would be physically fucking impossible. It would cost amount of money that they can't find through just fraud alone, and they can't fund by just canceling and slashing large portions of the budget. We're talking about up to 30% of the entire budget. It's impossible.
Crispin, you're in Arizona. Hey, Crispin.
Hey, it's nice to talk to you.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, what's on my mind is, say if you just take 100,000 people, and I know 65,000 voluntarily withdraw from their jobs. If you take 100,000 people at 50,000, that's about $5 billion, a drop in the bucket. The last tax break that Trump gave was 1.9 trillion, and 65% went to people making over 130,000 a year.
A 1.9 trillion tax break to the rich when Trump was in office. Doge talking about how they found $2 trillion in fraud alone from woke media virus propaganda bullshit. Talking about how they found millions and billions of dollars in transgender funding or studies in Africa, like for sending condoms to Gaza or whatever. Like straight bullshit. It doesn't even sound like it makes sense. It sounds like AI gibberish slop. But somehow they magically found more money than you could find in the defense budget, more money than you could find in the Social Security budget, than you could find anywhere else. Just none of it makes sense. The numbers don't add up. And then he's going to talk about how, oh yeah, American people, it's all okay. You should be okay with it. As a matter of fact, you let us do what we're doing, we'll give you $5,000 each.
That amount is like 1.2 to 1.3 trillion. If you're going to get after the excess spending, you have to go after military waste and the rich, make the rich pay. Instead, he's trying to offer a $5,000
But I would say the top 10%.
If they wanted to save $1.2 trillion, Trump should have never gave out that tax break to the rich. Point blank. We could be very much chilling with $5,000 each in our pockets if Trump had decided that he cared about us in that manner, but he does not. And here's the very last one. There's another caller calling in, concerned about his fiance's immigration status. Right, very, very much concerned. So he's calling in. It's like, hey, listen, my fiance, I love her. I don't want Trump and his administration to get her kicked out.
Let's take a few calls, shall we? Yes, we can. Let's go to Joe in Pennsylvania, XM Satellite. Joe, go right ahead, please.
Yes. This is actually the first time I've been on the show. It's a great honor to be on your show. My father's been on your show in the past for a few years.
Where are you from in Pennsylvania?
I'm from a town called Percy.
Percy, which is
or 40 minutes north of Philadelphia.
I know exactly where it is. I was just going to say, go ahead.
Like fishing for.
Yes, sir.
So I just wanted to talk about,
in certain ways.
I've actually been to Ukraine during the war. My fiance is Ukrainian. I filed the paperwork for her to come over here because we actually were just friends at the time, but we became more with time. And she's been here because her city gets bombed usually every day. And it's very concerning to me. I've been a Republican ever since I could vote, and same with my family. And so her family's here, I'm here.
And let me guess, you're going to say, what is this animus against Ukraine and this either open or backdoor support for a mass murderer like Putin? That's your question, right?
Yes, and also my other question is, you know, her parents are here, and she's here, and her daughter, and we've been planning on getting married now for a few months, and it seems like I've read on the news now that if you were paroled into the United States, you can't file any forms for immigration.
All right, I have to be honest with you. I'm not an immigration lawyer, and I don't know what the status is of filing for parole, so I can't really help you with that.
Well, it wouldn't be filing for parole. It would be filing because we've been playing.
You're a fucking radio talk show host. He's calling to voice his concerns about the Trump administration. You're not there to help him with anything.
On getting married for a while, and
I know, but I said I'm not really up on this right now. I'm certainly not up to
You're just
up on
trying
what's
to admit you don't know what the fuck he's talking about, right? And through this, they're going to dismiss his concerns.
going on right now.
it seems like, though, it's crazy to me how much isolationism is going around. There's so much talk. It seems like people, it's flipped. They hate Ukraine now. I
don't get that at all. You won't hear that from me. Some of these other people, they're going to have to explain themselves. They never want to come on here and debate me. I tried to do that once with one of them, and it was really kind of silly. But no, I don't get it. I really don't get it at all. You're talking to somebody who's most...
Right? This is really sad. And even if the hatred towards Ukraine wasn't already being mustered up through this, like, his fiance, just as is the case with so many other people who've been seeking immigration or asylum in this country, their status, if they've already obtained any whatsoever, has been threatened or has been already removed. And if they were living here, if it was removed, they've been kicked back out to their own country. If it hasn't happened yet, it's going to happen soon, right? Or they're going to try to, at the very least. Whether or not they succeed, they're going to try to. And it's sad. Very sad. I just don't get how this could happen to you, and you can still be in support for the administration. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I feel like people will vote for certain positions and policies and be so passionate about it for things that don't even affect them, that don't even relate to them. But something actually happens to them, they get directly affected, and their life, they experience what arguably is an incredibly traumatic life event, right? Or they're on the verge of experiencing an incredibly traumatic life event as a direct action and causation of the Trump administration, and they still fall in line and support Trump and MAGA and everything that they stand for. They still fucking fall in line and do it. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Like, especially since time and time again, they've shown to provide nothing. Like, they've done very little to provide any positive change for the average American. Like, it just seems to be chaos almost every fucking day at this point. And we've only been a month and a half into the administration. It's not even been that long. It's not even been that long. We still have yet to feel the severe effects of the most important of his decisions, because the time hasn't come for that yet. It will be felt at some point, especially if we don't do anything to stop it. It's only a matter of time. Last but not least, Andrew Tate and his brother are back in the United States. I'm not going to cover this for that long, because fuck this piece of shit and the other piece of shit that he calls his brother. They are disgusting. I will say there's only been one piece of good news, if any, to be found at all this entire fucking week, and it's been that DeSantis, in one rare moment of clarity, had decided that he was not okay with Andrew Tate or his brother coming to Florida, and said that they're not welcome here. I don't understand it at all, especially since the type of people that DeSantis seems to be okay with. He seems to be okay with child pedophiles and sex people, whatever the fuck, like Pete Hegseth or whatever. But I guess Tate seems to be one step too far. I don't understand it. Fuck them. I hope they rot. Anyways, guys, that covers about everything. What a night. What a fucking couple days. I'm sorry my stream schedule has been a little bit off. I know usually I'm on every day, Last couple days have been just busy with work as well as life events. I went to a strawberry festival yesterday. It was pretty cool. I was supposed to be on last night. I was way too tired. It took way too long for me to get home. But I'm going to try to keep up with it and get back in the habit of making announcements or stuff like that. But regardless, I'm about to be out of here. I hope you guys stay safe, hydrate, smoke some weed, and let's fight for America, hopefully.